on Radio Live right across the country, talking of real tough cookies. This guy is an absolute freak on a bike. He's a cycling superman, really, and a lot of us train all year to do the one lap of Lake Taupo, hoping that we can, hit the magical 5-hour mark, or even get round and under six hours, around about 165 kilometres. It is. This bloke is doing 65 laps in 65 days at 65 years of age, and he joins us on the show now. Good afternoon, Colin.
Yeah, good afternoon, Colin speaking.
How are you, sir? Are you well?
Yeah, just finished a lap today with one of my friends from Palmerston North, John Lithgow. We've just shot round this morning. Well, when I say shot, we were 7.5 hours, with a meal break and a few pee stops, of course, for the hydration.
Yeah, we got to have the hydration, Colin. Let's just okay. What's the thinking? I mean, you've got a reputation as a fantastic endurance cyclist with completing 12 and 24-hour distances on the velodrome. But it's a little bit different. I mean, 65 laps in 65 days. Where did this start, and what's it for? What's it behind it?
Well, it started as a bit of a personal challenge. I set myself a few targets that I want to do in my 65th year, and this was. They were all a build-up, the 24-hour velodrome ride and my 65th lap of the Lake Taupo Cycle Challenge back in November. And, getting the world title for 12 hours for a 60 to 69-year-old and topping off on the 24-hour record as well. Only left this one to go, and 65 laps of the pond it's a fair bit of cycling. Yeah, I've now covered 4,300 kilometres in 20 days. That's twice the furthest distance I've ever done before in my life. I've done the Cape to Bluff, which was 2,100, and now we're up to 4,300. So I'm double my normal distance.
And how are you feeling? How are you coping with it?
Recovery is the big thing every day. Recovery drink, the Hammer Recover, right? Get into the hammer stuff and recover and get some kip and get back out there.
Yeah. So how many laps are you into it so far?
27 today.
27 laps of
27, yeah. I've done a couple of doubles and a couple of back-to-back doubles, and mainly doing singles, but just popping the odd double in to allow for a rest day perhaps when it comes up, and other problems that may exist or things to do.
So how many laps have you had that's 27 laps over how many days?
Over 20 days today, yeah. 21 days today, sorry.
Over 20. Well, you've got a few up your sleeve then. You've got a few.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Colin, what got you into cycling? When did you start as a cyclist?
I started cycling because of a Dannyburg, where my hometown, Dannyburg, had a Lions Club, a little wee toy triathlon, and I found I didn't like running and I didn't like the canoeing because you got too wet when you fell out, but the cycling seemed to form a bit of an addiction with me, and a friend there suggested, Mike Rowley, who run really kayaks for years in Dannyburg, he suggested go up and ride around that Bingham Lake.
Wow, how long ago was that?
And I've gone back every year now for 24 years in a row.
24 years, so you started at early 40s?
I was in the early 40s, yeah. Yeah, it was a bit of a life change, yeah.
Were you an active guy before that, Colin?
Yeah, I've had a couple of New Zealand boxing titles, and I did a lot of boxing training, so I was always hopping and skipping and trying to avoid the big boys who were trying to give me a bang in the ring and dance around the little fellas. So, yeah, I guess I've been pretty active, yeah, as time permits with the young family originally.
Yeah. And you just got on the bike and fell in love with it?
I'm not sure whether I fell in love with it, but I got encouraged into doing the longer distance rides by Neil Vertigen from Palmerston North, and Nathan Delberg took me for a good old hop one day around the Rimataka block, which is 275k, which was a real education. Wow. And I've found a bit of a forte with it, I guess, yeah.
What age were you when you went with Nathan round that block? I mean, because he is a Tour de France rider.
That was before my first night. Nelson to Christchurch. I was probably 1992. I think we did that first night in Nelson to Christchurch, which is 428k through the back blocks of the South Island.
Yeah, so early 40s and going out there with, for those of you not familiar with Nathan Delberg, he's a Tour de France rider. I mean, that bloke could ride a bit. Colin, so you're basing you're from the Manawatu. You're basing yourself in Taupo for the duration of this?
I'm basing myself in Taupo, yeah.
Yep. So we're in today we're talking with Colin Anderson. He's a cycling superman. He's 65 years of age. He's been cycling for some time. He's been round round and round Lake Taupo for many years on the Lake Taupo the challenge. This year he set himself a goal in his 65th year, doing 65 laps in 65 days, and it's for a great cause as well. Colin, and how can we get in touch with that?
We're raising funds for Canteen as we're riding it. We've picked up $4,000 now, which is good. That's right. $4,000 for 4,000 K. So, and it's just fundraise online. Just / Colin Anderson, and you'll find it here.
Yeah. So www.fundraiseonline.co.nz, and you can actually go to /65XL Lake Taupo. But as you say, you put Colin Anderson in, and you'll find it. Well, look. They talk about how are you getting enough calories in? I mean, you know, when you do a lap of that, I mean, it must be you must just have to eat like a horse.
No, I'm not. I'm using the Hammer liquid nutrition and a bit of gel, but not much. And I'm particularly fussy with how much of the stuff I pour down the throat. And I'm stopping down at the bottom end of the lake and having a bit of a snack before I carry on again, and stopping at the Wild Bean here and at the BP and having a bit of a snack there before I head out again if I'm doing a double. Otherwise, it's back here and get your knobs down quick. And there's a sort of a 20-minute window, they reckon, for recovery. So I'm pretty fussy with it. Got to be careful. I'm not cocky that I'm going to finish this thing, and there's no point getting complacent because that's when accidents happen. So just being super careful.
When you say there's a 20-minute window, how do you mean by that? In terms of like when you know you're almost at the finishing point, or you?
As soon as you finish riding, you've got really 20 minutes to restoke that body up with all the carbs and calories and goodness knows what else that are required to get yourself back in nick so you can get up the next morning and not have sore muscles and feel like riding again, which I've got to do every day. I've got to feel like getting out of bed reasonably fresh. And there's some bumps out the back. Hardtip's not a slug's hill, and there's a few other ones as well.
Yeah. And you say you had a friend from Palmerston all up with you riding. Is that are you getting a few out there and supporting you?
John Lithgow came up and rode 2 laps. He did a lap yesterday and a lap today. I've got the other 65-year-old cobber from Palmy, an ex-postman as well, John Burmester. He's coming up for a week shortly to do 3 days over the week. And there's two others from Palmerston who've expressed an interest in coming up. I've only run into a couple of riders out on the road during my duration, I must admit. Pretty quiet. They're probably working.
Have you got like a support crew, or are you just doing it on your own out on the road?
I just take my gear and go. No support crew.
Yeah.
No support crew, no. For me, I had an uncle who was absolutely marvellous, and he retired, and the next day he died. And I think when I was 20, it really hit me, and I think that still dwells on me, that poor old Uncle Arnold Kenley from Dannyburg, he worked all his life like a tiger and played a bit as well, and then he popped off, and I thought, what a way to go, bloody awful.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'll keep working and I'll keep cycling while I can, and while I can, I'll keep raising funds for worthy causes, which New Zealand is full of, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Canteen, definitely one of those. 65 laps of Lake Taupo in 65 days in his 65th year for Colin Anderson. Colin, so actually, what you just said, there's no way this is going to be the last challenge, though. I guess you're thinking about the next one?
Not with any great veracity at this point, no.
Yeah. Hey, look, we were talking to the guys that are riding with Christian Cullen on his neonatal ride from Cape Reinga to the Bluff, and they said when you talk to Colin, ask him how long it took him to get from Cape Reinga to the Bluff. How long did that take you?
4 days, 17 hours and 40 minutes with an absolutely fantastic crew.
Run that past me again. Cape Reinga.
4 days, 17 hours and 40 minutes. We only beat the record by 2 hours, 10 minutes. He was real touch and go, and I was really shot at the finish.
How long?
I couldn't have ridden a bike for 2 metres the following day.
Right. So how long? So how often did you get off the bike? I mean, you must have been going pretty much the whole way.
I had 10 and a half hours sleep over those almost 5 days. Yeah. The crew was awesome. I had a crew for the North Island, a crew for the South Island, and one woman, Jenny Hughes, who stayed the whole trip and was masseuse, come cook, come whatever.
So. Is that still a record for that?
It is, as far as I'm aware. One young fella tried to do it from the other direction, but I think got as far as Auckland and went home. But I did meet a young guy called Jamie actually down at Turangi last week, and he had all his gear on his bike. I said, "Where are you going to, mate?" And he said, "I've started in Bluff and I'm going to Cape." I said, "Oh, well, I did it the easy way. I started from the top and went to the bottom."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, how long did it take you?" And I told him, and he walked off horrified, and about 10 minutes later he came back and he said, "Would you run that past me again and write it down, because I don't believe you."
first and foremost, you're doing this for a wonderful cause, supporting Canteen. People go to www.fundraiseonline.co.nz, support Colin. 65 laps of Lake Taupo in 65 days in his 65th year. And of course, Colin, I've made the commitment. I'll get the TV3 crew down there. When we thought around about when you hit the halfway mark, so you're not too far away from that, are you? So you're
we're starting to give it a nudge, but it'll be next weekend. I've got a couple of days back in Palmerston this weekend coming, Friday, Saturday, and bussing down and bussing back, of course, because I think I'll be too tired to drive.
Yeah.
So it'll be straight down and straight back, and then back on the scooter again. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, great to talk to you, Colin. This is a great, amazing achievement, and you're a wonderful ambassador for cycling and actually for health, for men's health, and of course your support for the young people with Canteen as well. And we look forward to talking to you again, which we will on the show as we follow your progress for the 65.
Thank you very much, Hamish. That's a lovely tone to call the ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, we'll talk again. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you. Bye.
Rightio, it is 3:30. Yeah, Colin Anderson. Get him behind him. I'll repeat it again. Just go to www.fundraiseonline.co.nz/65 XL Lake Taupo, or just type in Colin Anderson and you'll bring it up. He's Cycling Superman 65.